This is my presentation for Chapter 8, Conformity and Obedience. The section I've chosen to focus on is informational social influence and basically when informational social influence and conformity go wrong. Informational social influence is using other people to guide our own behavior. Now, whether or not another's behavior is correct, we believe that this is how we should react in ambiguous or crisis situations. In order for informational social influence to effectively lead to conformity, certain conditions must be met. The first is when the situation is ambiguous. Now, people are more open to social influence if they are faced with a situation that leaves them unsure how to react or what the correct response is, what the right idea is. The second condition is when the situation is a crisis. Now, in a crisis, people don't have time to stop and think, they just react. Panic and uncertainty lead us to see how others are responding, and then we follow suit. And the third condition is when other people are experts. If we're in a crisis or a situation we're unsure of how to respond, the more knowledgeable another person is, the more valuable they become in guiding people through these situations. The book explains that a dramatic form of informational social influence occurs when crises happen, when an individual is confronted with a frightening or potentially dangerous situation to which they are ill-equipped to respond. The person may have no idea what is really happening or what they should do. 2020 brought about pretty good conditions for informational conformity to go wrong. We were faced with a worldwide deadly pandemic none of us had ever seen or experienced in our lifetime. We were sent home under lockdown orders and cut off from our family and friends. We witnessed the murder of George Floyd and the summer of social justice reckoning from our homes. We also went through a caustic, conspiracy-fueled presidential election from our homes. Now, being cut off from the outside world and the outside social influence, many people turn to the internet and social media as a means of seeing how the rest of the world was reacting and responding. Altogether, these circumstances brought Q and QAnon ideology into the mainstream. In October of 2017, an anonymous individual going by the letter Q, they were claiming to be either an intelligence or military official with Q clearance. Now, that's a level of clearance to classified information such as nuclear arms designs and other highly sensitive information. This person started posting these drops to 4chan. Now, over the years, these Q drops, which are supposedly coded messages from Q themselves, are being left for these people, which are known as bakers, to decode. In this situation, Q and the bakers would be the experts. Over the years, Q has moved from obscure messaging boards like 4chan to 8chan, mainly because they keep getting shut down, to a user-friendly site like Reddit, and eventually they have found their way into mainstream sites like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and even YouTube has pages upon pages dedicated to these bakers. While QAnon has swallowed up lesser conspiracy theories along the way, the main theme is save the children. What are they saving the children from? They're saving them from an evil, Satan-worshipping, cannibalistic, pedophile sex ring made up of elites in Hollywood, the government, the church, and the top 1% around the world. It's this global sex trafficking ring that tortures and murders children in order to harvest their adrenochrome, which keeps these satanic pedophiles young forever. Adherents of Q believe that Donald Trump was installed by the military in a secret operation to uncover these crimes in order to expose all of the criminals and bring them before military tribunals to have them tried and executed for these supposed crimes. They have come to believe that they are in some way patriots in a race to save these children and the soul of America. On January 6th, a mob of insurrectionists stormed the U.S. Capitol in order to stop Joe Biden from being certified as president. And while not all in the mob were believers of Q, there were Anons in the crowd, and they believed that this was the storm that had been prophesized by Q. Now they needed to descend in order to bring these criminals to justice. Among the crowd was 35-year-old Ashley Babbitt. She was a 14-year-old Air Force veteran that believed the election was stolen from Trump. She was also a Q believer. The New York Times reported that her social media feed was a torrent of messages celebrating President Trump, QAnon conspiracy theories, and tirades against immigration, drugs, and Democratic leaders in California. Like about 14% of the U.S. population, Ms. Babbitt believed that this was the storm coming for D.C. on January 6th. And in fact, her Twitter feed from the day before reads, "Nothing will stop us. They can try and try and try, but the storm is here and it is descending upon D.C. in less than 24 hours, dark to light." End quote. While following a crowd through the Capitol building to the door that was leading to the hallway that led to the speaker's chambers, ignoring warnings from other rioters that there was a gun, and despite the gun being clearly visible to everyone around, when the rioters broke the glass leading to this hallway, they hoisted Miss Babbitt up to go through the glass, and she was shot and killed by Capitol police officers in that action. Now, while I do not support or condone the actions of Ashley Babbitt or any of the insurrectionists that day, these are clear examples of the way that informational social influence can go wrong. These people looked to what they had around them to try and figure out how to react and cope with the situations that they were in. Being cut off from the outside world, the internet made it way too easy for people to fall down these rabbit holes of conspiracy and adhere to this QAnon ideology, which led to the unfortunate death of this young woman whose actions that day, while reprehensible, were totally preventable had this not been allowed to go as far as it had.